Hey everybody, welcome to our Monday Night Live webcast. This is Forge Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy. I've got Andrew Whitaker and Chris Morgan tonight.
What up, team?
What's
Chris,
up?
Hey, what's going on? Look, with all the rumors we got going down, I definitely want to talk about Chaos, but I want to talk about the models closest to the second edition Possessed that we've ever seen, and that's going to be the 13th Company. So, in honor of that, I broke out my Eye of Terror codex that had
Is that Abaddon on the front?
Yeah, this is the 13th Crusade, the original 13th Crusade, where he's coming to destroy the planets and stuff. And in here we have the Lost in the Dam list, we have the original Black Templars list, and there's like an IG list in here, and 13th Company, and Ultimate Strike Force. And in this thin book, there's 6 lists or whatever.
Now, when you say lists, you mean like mini codices?
Well, it's stuff like the way they used to.
Was that 4th edition? Like, I don't really know what that means.
About 3rd edition.
Yeah,
so
this was 3rd edition.
When they released like Space Marine Codex, like the Blood Angel Codex, had 5 or 6 Blood Angel Codex entries, and then a bunch of references to the Space Marine Codex.
Gotcha.
So what this does is the same thing. It says you get, this new unit, that new unit, and then look at the parent codex for whatever it is you want to get.
Gotcha. So there's like, for the Black Templar one, you'd have like Crusader squads and maybe the Land Raider, and then that's it.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we can break it out and talk about it.
Brethren, whatever. But okay, it makes sense the way you described it.
Yeah. So the Space Wolves 13th Company. In this episode, I really want to talk about like our wish listing for what I wrote this article today, the top 3 things that Chaos need to be good right now, and I actually turned it into 5 things because that's what the internet does, is that it lies to you.
Fair enough.
But let me give some quick shout outs. Steve, Dean, Lamont, Bill, Chris, Dan. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in live. BC Novastar, been a long time. I mean, I know you're a West Coaster. But thanks for hanging in here with us.
It's early. It's dinner time there.
Yeah. So that's why I don't get when they say they catch it later on the repeat on YouTube or whatever. It's like, yeah, we do this because it's like convenient for East Coast. But thanks a lot for people tuning in around the world. And if you haven't subscribed to YouTube yet, to us, please do. If you're on the Google Plus, I don't even know how you do that. So, I'm trying.
Technology is like that.
Yeah, talk about Chaos here pretty soon. The 13th Company, when they originally came out, they had some of the coolest models we'd ever seen from Games Workshop. Do you guys remember what they look like?
I've got the book right here, and it's like Space Wolf plus Chaos bits plus like werewolf heads, like teenage werewolf heads.
No, they were metal models, and they were all sculpted to be, basically space werewolves is what they were.
Is that where the original like Wolfen models came from as well?
That's the Wolfen. Yeah, that's
what
they are. Mark of the Wolfen. This is the model that you had. It was just a set of 5 models, and so if you wanted an army of them, you just had essentially repeats.
Gotcha.
Real interesting thing. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I still remember the venerable TPM complaining once about how the Wolfen with the bolt pistol doesn't actually have a bolt pistol.
They don't have bolt pistols.
He has a bolt pistol. He just can't shoot it. He probably just clubs people with it.
They're brandishing them very menacingly. They look great, but yet they have no stat profile in this book for a bolt pistol.
That's awesome.
They were 24 points a model. They had weapon skill 5, strength 5, toughness 4, 1 wound, initiative 5. I mean, we don't know what they're going to be. I'm just reading what was in, but I think we can maybe look at this as somewhat of a template because this would fit in a White Dwarf or a Data Slate or whatever. This entry right here.
So now, I apologize. I've been busy at work, so maybe I missed it. But what has precipitated this conversation? Is there like a pretty verifiable rumor that we're going to get an Eye of Terror?
We got a screenshot. Yeah, well, we got a screenshot of the February White Dwarf that has on the cover of it some hideous 13th Company Wolfen models. I mean,
well,
I'm
the
talking
picture's
like
pretty hideous.
In Search Of. We talked about In Search Of before. This is the actual Sasquatch figure.
Oh no!
Yeah,
that's terrible.
It is. I mean, look, I'm ready to There's one model on there, I think it looks like maybe their leader model looks pretty cool, but they've got like the regular troop models, and they just look, I don't know, gangly, and I don't know. It's just hard to say. It's hard to describe.
Send me a link to that.
Are they scruffy-looking nerf herders?
If you go to the Forge Narrative Facebook page, it's I think it's posted on Saturday.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it is absolutely hideous. Oh, Nova started to move to Florida. Well, good. I'm glad you can tune in. Coach, good to see you. All right. So before we get to some of the questions and stuff that are getting into the chat, the Wolfen were pretty stout. I mean, this was before run rules came in. So this is these guys had to truck it across the table, and they had two attacks plus one. I don't remember what the plus one was for or what that significance of that was.
But that was before the extra attack was included in the profile, right? Because they went back and forth in that. Like in fourth, they included it in the profile, and then just subtracted. But in third, they put that +1 there to be like, oh, this is the 2-weapon bonus.
Yeah. It says, though some Wolfen may still bear the remnants of their former weaponry, they use only their savage claws in close combat, which are counted as 2 close combats. There we go. Included in the profile above. There we go. That's
interesting.
They got a plus D6 movement. So each Wolfen pack must advance a normal move plus D6 towards the nearest enemy instead of moving normally. And the extra D6 was not affected. Was not affected by difficult terrain.
No, that was the old Death Company rules. If they didn't have a chaplain in with them, it was the same sort of thing.
So you think these guys may move like beasts, maybe in the new?
I would be surprised if they weren't beasts.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, because I remember seeing Wolfen models when I first started playing about midway through 5th edition. They were still a thing, but they were like a 1 per unit upgrade, or they were
That's kind of Mark of the Wolfen.
Mark of the Wolfen. Okay, and then I guess they just used the Wolfen models from the Eye of Terror. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, these guys have werewolf faces and like werewolf claws, like instead of hands and stuff from some of them.
So will you get whole units of these things, or will they still just be like kind of one-off upgrades?
13th Company was a squad from 5 to 15 of all Wolfen.
Gotcha.
And these followed Russ into the warp, and so these guys are the ones that are supposed to have returned from the warp, and they've got this werewolf mutation.
Okay. Well, were these guys the guys that followed Russ into the warp, or did they follow Magnus into the warp when they were on Prospero? Because Russ didn't go into the warp then, if I'm remembering.
No, Russ did go into the warp. He gave all this. He's like, "Hey, Bjorn."
After though, that was after.
Have my junk. Okay, the disappeared 10,000 years ago, and the circumstances of the disappearance are subject to numerous myths and legends.
All right, we'll call that legit.
Yes, that's from the text here. So anyway, they were warbands intent upon fulfilling the task they were set 10 millennia past by legend states the Primarch Lehman Russ.
Gotcha. And somebody commented in there, Casey looks like, said something about Wolfen had rending as well, or maybe it was Nova.
Well, in Mark of the Wolfen they had rending. There's no rending. Okay. Yeah, Mark of the Wolfen gave you rending. These guys, I don't think had anything. No, they did not have any innate way to get through armor. But there was no AP, I don't think. Well, no, this was the dawn of AP, I think.
Fair enough.
Shooting,
I think
close combat didn't have any AP until 6th edition, so.
Yeah. I mean, we know for sure, for a fact, that the people who cried foul when the Thunderwolf cavalry came out are going to lose their minds with this. Because
if these are beast models. Yeah. If these are beast dudes on 32mm bases.
I'm not saying even just tabletop-wise. I'm talking about the fluff guys. And really, I mean, people lost their minds about the Thunderwolf cavalry.
I get you. I get where you're going.
Just aesthetically, they were like, a space marine riding a giant wolf, and now we've got whole units of wolf people. Although, admittedly, this is more legitimated in the fluff context. But there are going to be some unhappy people. I promise you that.
There's always unhappy people. And hey, looks like Nova Star's up. Thank you, sir, by the way, for your comment on my Blood Angels.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Very nice.
Supposedly went into the warp before us. I'll take it. Sure, why not?
Why not? Go to town.
Yep. So the way this army worked is you were able to take Wolf Lords and Rune Priest and Wolf Priest, and I want to say, let me go to, there's another page. You were Varangian Wolf packs, Stormcaller Bike packs, and you could also take 13th Company Longfang packs, which worked very similar to the actual Longfangs. I don't know why, and that's the thing that always kind of struck me as weird, because the 13th Company Wolfen couldn't use their bolters, but yet you could still take. Oh, but we didn't forget how to use these las cannons and missile launchers.
Don't think too much on it, Paul. If you overthink it, it'll blow your mind up.
Well, see, I'm an old school Blood Angel player, so the wolves could always outshoot and outfight us. You had to be really crafty to beat Space Wolves back then.
They were definitely the toughest nut to crack in 5th edition, even after we got Matt warded, because Longfangs were so good back in the day with missile spam and everything. But I wonder if it'll be a codex supplement, or whether or not they're going to redo the whole Space Wolf codex, because they're going to have to create this unit entry some way. And to be fair, we haven't seen a new supplement in a while.
I don't think we're going to get a new Space Wolf codex. I think we're just going to get another book that says, take some 13th Company and give us $15.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's something in the White Dwarf and then it leads into something bigger. I'm not willing to put my money on it being a full codex release, but we'll see.
Bill's asking. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was just gonna say we haven't seen a full-blown hardback book since Tau. Right?
Yeah, I think that was the last one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's been like little campaign books and stuff for like the Raven Guard and the White Scars, the Montcalm, and all that, but all that was kind of tied into the Tau thing.
Right.
Bill's asking if the Terra got retconned. I believe that the result of the results, like everything that happened in the end, like with the Eldrad dying and that kind of stuff, got retconned, but I don't know if the whole thing got eradicated.
Now, if I'm doing my chief librarian duties right, what I remember is what you said is correct about Eldrad and all that. Instead of the 13th Black Crusade being retconned, it's ongoing. So it's still happening right now, but
now we're in the middle of the 13th Black Crusade.
Yeah, in the current age of 40K.
That was a good time to be a player, guys. I mean, that was the first global campaign where you were able to interact with a website to report what you were going and doing, and people. And then this came out, this set stuff on fire. Especially with the Black Legion. Sorry, not the Black Legion. The Lost and the Damned. Like this.
What was it? Wasn't there a campaign component as well?
Yeah, that's the website I think Paul was talking about. Is like you would play a game and then you'd report it on their Eye of Terror campaign website. It was buggy as all get out, but it was super fun to play with.
Well, I mean, that was one of the first things the first time we had ever interacted with something like that about Warhammer. On the Eldar were in this too, so nobody get mad.
Paul said Eldar.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were almost 15 minutes into a show without somebody mentioning Eldar. So thank you.
But they sold packs of zombies and catechins. Like you could buy a mutant sprue of I think it was catechins, Cadians. It might have been just catechins and the mutation sprue. So you were supposed to make your own zombies and stuff back then, and they actually sold a little kit of their plastic sprues. I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean,
that's actually
one guy.
Really cool.
He's got, and it's going to be kind of hard to see, but
nobody's seeing that.
He's got all kinds of funky mutations. His legs got replaced with a tiny wheel, and he's got monkey arms. He's just driving around in this itty bitty little wheel. It's pretty hilarious. But I mean, it was a great era for fluff and everything. I remember one of the White Dwarfs that came out during that campaign was the first one that had any real detailed fluff about the Death Guard and how they ended up getting turned to chaos and turned into Nurgle stuff. That was like the first time that fluff had been released. I've still got that White Dwarf downstairs somewhere. It was pretty cool.
That's neat. Yeah, this book was only $15, but it's, I mean, I've still got a sticker on it. That's how I know. But it's 50 pages, so I mean, it's like a good magazine with was it like 5, 6 real playable things in it. This was one of the highlights of Games Workshop, if you ask me.
Well, that's like they have so much potential to do that, right? I mean, you spend I don't know how many writers contributed to Eye of Terror, but a professional writer can probably produce that material in a relatively short amount of time. And then it doesn't cost them a lot to run that production, right? I mean, it seems like they could be putting out more of those than they are now.
I think that's what we're getting, though, with the Mont Ka and the Cygnus Prime and all that stuff. What was the Blood Angels and the Space
Shield of Ball,
and then the Shield of Ball. Like, I think that's what we're
getting.
Yeah. I love it. I mean,
I do too. I really like the supplements. I guess you don't see things that are. I mean, maybe I'm speaking before I'm really thinking it through, but I mean, Shield of Bale, you had Tyranids and Blood Angels. In Mont Ka, I guess you had White Scars, Raven Guard, and Tau. So yeah, they are. Yeah, I think that is what they're doing. Maybe just not as frequently as some of us like. Maybe
I think
you get 1 or 2 of those a year.
If I had to get like a complaint, is that they're kind of learning as they go, and there's not a lot of consistency between everything. So like, not everything is treated as fairly as maybe we would like it as whatever our pet chapter or perfect army is. So the next thing is treated differently than the previous thing, and that doesn't mean the next thing is always better. It's just different, and so we're like,
yeah.
Where's your line manager? Where's your line manager, guys?
Yeah, there's certain component of that in the actual codex releases as well. I mean, people, it's pretty preposterous that we're a year out from a Blood Angels codex, and then they were like, yeah, we're just going to change the weapon skill and ballistic skill on scouts, and then not fix it.
That was like
never go back. Yeah.
That was like 6 months.
That's the Blood Angels' real secret, is that their scouts don't take their vitamins.
Yeah, we're just idiot scouts. That's pretty much it.
They just sit around eating sugary cereals all day.
Just a little bit pudgy.
Yeah,
that's all they do for me in my games. Is just eat bullet cereal.
I bolter the crap out of people with mine. I'm telling you. How weird is it that my assault army has bolters on the scouts? Now, like, that's what's wrong with the game right now.
Yeah. Blood Angel scouts. They leave their t-shirts on at the pool. That's them.
John saying that he kept a bunch of his old Wolfen models just in case. You know, you are rewarded, and I think that was a pretty safe bet that we'd see that kind of stuff. And a lot of people did break them up into the Marks of the Wolfen, like Andrew was talking about. But I'm happy to see this army come back, because it was an evolution of the fluff at the time, and something that was very popular. And you know, the new models. Did you check it out yet, Andrew?
I did. It's a pretty blurry image. I'm
the Sasquatch.
I'm not going to be the inflammatory podcast host that shouts how hideous it is just for the ratings. Shameful, Paul. But no, based on one grainy ass picture, I don't know that it's going to be so effing terrible that it's going to be hideous and stuff. Like, maybe there's going to be a couple other models that come out with it. I mean, I reserve judgment. All
the character models they put out recently have been even those like busted old Space Marine captains that no one will ever take. The models, I mean, he's sitting there with his combi grav and his power sword or chain sword or whatever. Like, no one's taking these, but they still look great.
Yeah. Well, every time they produce a character, an upgraded character model or something, it feels like, and I know it's not true, but it feels like they're always carrying the most useless, overcosted weapon in the game, the plasma pistol, and they're like, just, dude, why? I'm not actually going to take this model.
That's how you tell. So if someone's a real badass, they just sprinkle a plasma pistol on them. They're like, you know what? Get her out there. You're so bad. You're never gonna zot yourself. So just get on.
It's actually
and
funny.
And in 30K, he's a bad A when he's got a Volkite pistol.
Well, I will say this though. You can always tell if you're at a tournament and you walk up and you shake somebody's hand and they're like, blah, blah, blah. How are you? Good to meet you. Awesome. You don't know this guy from Adam, right? He could be the greatest, 40K player on the planet. He could be. He could be Adam.
Yeah.
But if he's got his models equipped with plasma pistols and he actually paid for them in the list, you're going to kick his ass.
That could be Adam. That could definitely be Adam.
He is terrible.
Not Adam. And Adam does
not Adam. I'm just saying the guy who puts plasma pistols in his list.
Yeah.
But unless it's Mephiston or Karn.
Those two can get away with it. Those two can get away
with it.
I never shoot Mephiston's plasma pistols because I always roll that one and then roll another one. But it looks cool.
Well, you never shoot what you're going to charge. That's I learned that pretty early on.
Exactly.
Hey, Chris, you're going to LVO, right?
Yes, I am. I am painting up a storm to get ready in time.
Gabriel asked, so yes, that is. I'm not making it this year. It's on my list to be a destination tournament. It sucks, but like the first part of the year is very difficult for me to get any real time away.
It's so soon after Christmas that if I didn't live like about a 6-hour drive away and have free lodging, I probably wouldn't be going either.
It is definitely one of those things. It's like for anybody on the East Coast, LVO is a cool destination tournament, but it's log jammed in between a couple of really, really big tournaments on our end of the country, and I can do Adepticon and Warzone or 11th Company and Nova, or I'd trade both of those to fly to LVO. You know what I mean?
It's
just
probably cheaper to fly to LVO than it is to fly to Chicago.
I will say those Vegas deals are not there anymore. Like you gotta really try.
Yeah,
but for me, it's just a lot of with the work that I do. It's there's a lot going on in like the end of the year, in the very beginning. It's real hard for me to juggle it all. But I'm going to try to make it next year. Chris, you have to tell me how it is.
Oh yeah, I'll be happy to talk all about it. I'm doing the 40K championships, and then on day 3, I'm doing the 30K event. So it's going to be good times. I'm bringing the Blood Angels list for the 40K championships, so I don't make the top 8 on the 3rd day and can participate in the Horus Heresy.
So you can gamble. So this is what I was working on. I know I'm pretty happy how these are turning out. Doing a lot of prep. You see, I haven't put the gun on it because I'm undecided. No guns on it yet because I'm undecided. But check this Vine detail.
I'm going to breathe heavily into my microphone out of disappointment for you. Heavy sighs coming across the airwaves. Just.
Speaking of Eldar, Paul, did you notice that there's a formation in this Ayaterra book that lets a Warlock Council accompany an Avatar of War?
That's the Oathway stuff, if I remember right. Yeah.
Yep. So back before the days of super fast everything, where everybody had to walk, that would have been good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Avatar used to be just amazing. Like
he was brutal.
Yeah. There was. I would I'd take Eldrad and the Avatar in every list, and walk them, just stroll them across the table. I really miss doing that.
The good old days.
Yeah. Okay. Coach has got a question. He's wondering if Doomsday Arcs and Monoliths are worth taking. Also wondering about the Annihilation Barges.
Oh man, that's tough.
The Monolith is definitely iffy. I'm
gonna say no, not the Monolith. The Monolith has there are times when it has shined in it used to be one of those things. It was just like, this clown brought a Monolith. I'm never gonna kill it. I specifically made a list that I took to tournaments literally all across the country, including Vegas one year. I have the mathematical odds to do something to a Monolith on turn 1. That's just what I needed to do. I just have the odds.
In 5th, I bought and painted up a Necron army that was two monoliths and a bunch of warriors, and destroyers, because that was the old Necron list, because the monoliths were super good. This is back when they
Right.
phased out of existence, right?
What's your phase out number? That was the question one. What's your phase out number?
Total models. It was I don't even remember. But
oh no,
yes,
we remember how to do it.
Yeah.
I always just want to know what that was. How many people did my dev company have to rip their tin cans open for this to not be a thing anymore?
for this game to be over. Yeah.
Yeah.
But those monoliths, it was crazy. I mean, you would just look at an orc player, and they would just, because it was your unmodified strength, right? So you never got to use anything additional, even for a power claw. So orcs, they had literally nothing that could kill a monolith, much less two of them. But yes, gone are those days. I do think that Annihilation Barges and Doomsday Arcs certainly still have their place. Right now, the monolith is just it's overcosted. I will say the meta has shifted in terms of like the big, the power gaming lists aren't really well equipped to deal with armor value 14. With the exception of course, Wraith Knights with the D cannons. Eldar spams a lot of strength 6, strength 7. Tau is just pouring out strength 7. Space Marines are not really super well equipped to do the demons don't handle AV14 well at all. So there is that advantage in the meta right now that I think that if you can come up with an effective way to spam AV14 that does good damage, you can win some games. But it's kind of one of those meta busting maker.
When they lost the monolith, lost the ability to like vaporize people through the doorway, then it just instantly went off my radar as something I want to play with.
Well, they do have an ability, maybe it's a special character or something that allows you to do it, where you can pull models away from, pull models that aren't inside it and have them like pop out of the doorway.
Oh yeah,
that's something you
used to be able to use the door offensively. You could basically phase someone out, and that they lost that.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of losing that.
There's a shiny green vacuum cleaner sucking everybody into the portal. That was something that you're just like, do I want to melt a bomb this guy? I don't want to get close enough to melt a bomb this guy.
I think the Annihilation Barge, though, putting out, how many shots the Annihilation Barge put out? It's a ton, right?
So it's still 4 twin linked at strength 7, and it still has the
Gauss,
hitting
right?
6s that are double hits. Gauss rules. No, it's not Gauss.
No, that's not Gauss. That's the Tesla.
Tesla, right? So it has the 6 get double hits, but the issue is you can no longer do that if you've jinked. And so when they change that rule over, they really hurt the kind of utility of the Annihilation Barges, because it used to be back in the day, we ran the numbers on it, and it was you averaged more hits when you didn't jink. But in the turns that you did jink, the variance is real high. Yeah, but you'd always take the Tesla one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's.
Well, I mean, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to try to get wounds on Wraith Knights, or do you want to glance out land speeders?
I mean, putting wounds on a Wraith Knight with hitting on 3s twin linked and wounding on 5s. That's as good as it comes most of the time. That's as efficient of a weapon at hurting Wraith Knights as pretty much. That's in the 80th percentile of hurting Wraith Knights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I still think that the strength is in the Tesla as opposed to the Gauss, just because of that higher strength. And if you're not being forced to jink, getting those extra hits doesn't suck either. But I don't know a player that's going to look at that and say, I want that to shoot at me at full ballistic skill.
Yeah, the range on this I don't think is amazing either, right?
It's 24 inches is the range on it. So yeah, it's not super great, but I think it just depends on the Necron list you're trying to build, right? Because they are relatively cheap. They're not particularly expensive. They are AV13. Being a skimmer is nice.
It's 120 points. That's not cheap, I don't think, for what it does.
I mean, an AV13 vehicle that puts out 4 Tesla shots a turn, twin linked.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you're making a good case.
I mean, it's not a broadside. It's not as efficient as that. Touche, but which is just laughable how good broadsides are. Just laughable.
Now he brought up Tau. Don't get him started. Don't get him started.
Been Bring it back down. We're bringing it back down. We're having a good night. We're talking about Necron.
I want you to recite the Blood Angels and their successor chapters until you calm down.
just have such a hard time right now, and they
really do.
Because they don't have really any like rivalry that they can do, and their only like benefit is that they can just kind of hang out and get punched in the face.
I mean, they live forever, right? Like they will take a licking and keep on ticking with the
but that's their thing
though.
Their
offensive output is not great.
I mean, that's just all they do is just hang out.
Yeah, I will say I played against a Decurion list this weekend on Saturday. It was like a 3-on-3 game, one of the the big sort of narrative things you do. 2,000 points of Necron Decurion, and I got them in close assault with my Blood Angels, and they couldn't stand it. I mean, I put in enough wounds that they fail their leadership test, and then I sweep them, and it's not a problem anymore. Who needs to put out the wounds if you can sweep them? You know what I'm saying?
So we're saying anything the Blood Angels can kill is bad.
Well, I will say that
I'm
there
kidding,
are.
Of course, yeah.
So is it Lich Guard? I'm trying to look up the name of it. I think it's either Lich Guard or Praetorians. One of the two are actually quite good at close combat. They all have war size,
Lich Guard
strength
have
7,
the shields
AP2.
and the war size.
Yeah, those are like the strength 6 AP2, strength 7 AP2.
Strength 7 AP2.
Armor Bane.
They are armor bane, so they will dice up a knight like nobody's business. And it's 2+ armor or 3+. It's 2 or 3+ armor.
3+ armor. I'm just looking at the stat line right now. It's 3+ armor.
Okay, but those are the ones I'm talking about with the war sides.
Well, there's the Praetorians, and then there's the Lich Guard. And I think you're talking about the Praetorians. I think you're talking about.
Okay, so those things, and I think that because the trend right now is to do wraiths, right? Wraiths are great. Wraiths are good. They move fast. They're mean. Awesome.
Not just any wraiths, but we're talking the wraiths that have the Decurion with the
with the scarab, the spider giving them.
Yeah, the tomb spider. Right. Yeah.
Correct. And that is a fine list, and that's a very good list. One of my teammates from ATC took that list up there last time and put work in with it.
Lich Guard. We're talking about Lich Guard. We're Lich Guarding.
Okay. But so there's a guy, one of the best players in Athens, Georgia, and I was there for law school. So his name's Richard. Really, really smart, very excellent player. Plays Necrons, and I saw him do something very innovative that I'd never seen before, and it was taking these Lich Guard. And what he did was he took the Overlord, Necron Overlord. He kitted out a Necron Overlord, and then took one of the named Overlord characters, and he basically made himself a mini Death Star. And Lich Guard are not particularly expensive, are they, Paul? They're like 30-something points.
25 points apiece.
Okay, so they're less expensive than I thought they were. For a 3+, 4+ model, they're T5 as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're toughness 5.
Toughness 5. So very difficult to wound, and then with the 2 overlords in there, this is a unit that you didn't want to touch. You could not, if he got in close combat with you, he was going to kill whatever it touched. And what he did with it was he attached that overlord that allows you to precision deep strike from one side of the board to the other. And I was playing a gunline Imperial Guard list at the time, and he basically deep struck it over there and then popped a solar flare, which means any unit shooting at them basically gives them invisibility for a turn, right? And so his unit basically precision deep strikes directly in front of your entire army and then pops a solar flare. So you're hitting on 6s. He's got 3+ saves, all the Decurion survivability on a toughness 5 unit with 2 big named characters with 2+ saves up front, and you have 1 turn to shoot at them or get the hell out of dodge, right? And it was very effective. He was winning a lot of games in Athens, and I think that list could do very well with a good player. If you want to do something not traditional with Necrons, if you want to use a cool unit like Lich Guard.
Right. There's a guy around here that does something similar with that flyer.
The Death Ray and stuff have kind of passed their prime. Sorry, Chris. But the Death Ray I think it's past its prime. Is that the one you're talking about?
The Death Ray. Is that a colloquial name for a list?
The Necron flyer with the Death Ray on it. That's the other one we're talking about.
Oh, you're talking about the Doomsday Arc?
Doomsday Arc. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen a Doomsday Arc more than once. I don't think I've ever.
You see him in that. Go
What
ahead,
you saying,
Chris.
Andrew?
Sorry.
Oh, just that you occasionally see them in that formation, right, where you take 3 of them or something like that, and they get bonuses like strafing.
I was thinking about the flyer one with the one gun on the bottom. This is like the reverse Ghost Arc. Yeah, I've never seen that thing work.
Doesn't. It's not particularly common.
I mean, it's got the living metal and 4 hull points, so it is survivable.
There's some stuff in there that is cool. I think that Treyarch Stalkers should be played a lot more often. I think that's a good unit that people.
I do see those. I've seen those more in 7th.
Yep, I think that if you're.
They do twin link other things, but it's just like you're still shooting pop guns at people.
I mean, they give. You put them in big. You put them near warrior blobs or the upgraded. What's not warriors? It's the troops. It's a step up from them.
Are you talking about immortals?
Immortals, yeah. You know, big chunks of immortals blazing away with heavy bolters. In terms of volume of fire, right? Because that's basically the name of the game since 6th. Is just put more shots out there than your opponent. If you're looking for ways for the Necrons to be offensive, I think that's the way to do it. You're never going to match Tau for number of shots. You're never going to match Eldar in terms of offensive output. But I think the Treyarchs help Necrons do things differently. But anyway, to Family of Gamers 777, to your question about those particular units, I think that those are not any of those things worth taking. Maybe the Annihilation Barge, but
yeah, out of the 3 Annihilation Barges. But
see, out of the 3, I'm going to say Monolith.
All right. Well,
there are different schools of thought over here in the FTN land.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, none of the 3 of us play Necrons, for what it's worth, as either.
Very true.
I just know that the monolith will be the most difficult to remove, and so the model like that. This is my actual theory on like models just like that. Is that the longer it's on the table, theoretically, the more valuable it is. Because you're eliminating things that can hurt it, and so just like a Wraith Knight or a Land Raider or whatever, the deeper into the game you can get it, hopefully the more valuable it is to you.
I can tell you right now, I've never let a monolith survive past turn 1.
Well, I mean, mathematically that's not a given. That's definitely not a given.
It is if you have a Sakaran with the Schism of Mars. That is a definite given.
not a lot of people take that. But
my thing about that.
Oh, go ahead. I have a question.
No, I was just gonna say that what do the Necrons do really well? Live forever and don't do any damage. That's their MO. What is a monolith? It'll live forever, but doesn't really do any damage. I think that the Annihilation Barge gives more utility to the average Necron player because it is actually putting out some offensive firepower. Like, your opponent can't ignore it because 4 Twin Link Strength 7 shots a turn on an AV-13 frame will hurt things for a protracted period of time. It will do work because of the Tesla rule, right? Like the average is like 6 hits. Yeah. So anyway,
people can casually kill that thing a little bit more easier than they can kill them. This is just point and counterpoint. I completely agree with everything you said. Is there a way to build a Necron list that can, by the just math, kill a Wraith Knight on turn 1 with shooting?
With shooting? I'm gonna put that in a solid NO.
I mean, we have to assume a couple of things, right? We have to assume someone who's not on the an intelligent human being is playing the Eldar, right? So he's not going to deploy within range of every gun in the Necron army. They have no grav. The highest strength weapon in their arsenal is strength 7. As you know, even especially if the freaking Wraith Knight has a cover save. So the answer is no. I don't think Necrons have the capacity.
I want to put that out there to a challenge because I'm not positive that's not the case. And I think that in the environment we live in right now, that if a Necron player can figure out how to do that, they'll win more games and tournaments.
I mean, I think if there was a way for that to happen, we'd be seeing a lot of it. That's my theory.
Okay.
Because
let's just put it out there. I'm just saying destroyers hate lots of things and wound everything on 6s. So
play your games and let us know how it goes.
No, I don't want anybody wasting time playing games. I just want to see what math says. Is there a way to build a list that has mathematical odds to, on average, kill a Wraith Knight turn 1 with shooting?
Never tell me the odds. Never tell me the odds. I want anecdotal game playing evidence.
So anyway,
that would amount of destroyers. I mean, we would take heavy destroyers in spade. I mean, what is Wraith Knight? 6 wounds?
6 wounds, yeah.
Yep.
6 wounds. So, assuming there's cover, best case scenario, like 4+ cover, they're going to need 12 wounds.
Sometimes a 5+, sometimes a 4+8.
Yeah, so you're talking anywhere between 9 and 12 wounds on a Wraith Knight at range. I mean, that's a shit ton of destroyers is what that would be.
I don't know that destroyers are the only thing. I'm just saying that's the challenge out for this webcast that I'll put out there. With our last few minutes, I want to talk about chaos. So chaos sucks. Chaos sucks right now, and it pains me to say that. I love all things Nurgle and demons, and my fantasy army was Khorne. The first thing I ever played in as far as chaos goes was Khorne for fantasy battle. It was like I played in this campaign. I didn't know anything about it. I played in this campaign. And I just bought a box of Chaos Warriors, painted them, put them together, and painted them, and then built my army up over there. Then Khorne got really awesome. So anyway, you learn geometry and you just own fantasy battle for a long time. So, but now, Chaos in 40K is you just take zombies and Helldrakes. If you're not taking zombies and Helldrakes, you're really not winning. So I put out just the top 3 things I would change. It was fast 2+ armor saves, reliable character models were my top 2 favorites, I guess. What do you guys think?
I think that they need some kind of flyer transport.
So,
is it steeds? What was that?
Some kind of flyer or transport. I think that he's right. There needs to be some kind of transport variant. That's a big deal. I think they're a fine build. I think everything in the Chaos Codex is a totally well-balanced, wonderful codex. If everything was cheaper. It's just too expensive for what it is. I mean, you're paying more for less than you are with comparable power armor options.
Do you really think so? I mean, this is a real question here. Is do you really think that way? Because they have absolutely nothing on any level that can compete with the Royalist Marines on any category.
Now consider though for a second, what if everything in their codex was commensurately cheaper? I mean, and honestly, I think drop pods are a huge thing. I think if you give Chaos Space Marines drop pods, that would be my one wish list, a wave of magic wand, sometime I have drop pod. But
I'm counting Forge World in this too. I really think that Imperial Armor 13 and Vrax is not the answer. There's still major gaps.
Well, and I'm saying those gaps, if the points cost were different. I mean, would any Space Marine player in their right mind be like, "Oh yeah, I'm excited to play against this Chaos guy"? If Thousand Suns cost 14 points a model, no. The answer is no. And if they were hell no, if they're coming out of a drop pod, you think Eldar jet bikes are real thrilled about staring down the barrel of AV2 bolters or AV3 bolt guns? No, I mean that's a very awesome unit. Same thing with Khorne Berserkers. Those guys are so excellently choppy, but they're expensive, and you can't give them a way to get to who they're going for.
Right.
I think that. A good example, my favorite example in the Chaos Codex is this. I think it's one of the most underutilized units, and we talked about it maybe 2 weeks ago. I think we didn't make it into the show. It would have been before the show. I was talking to Justin Troop about it. Forge Fiends. When was the last time you saw anybody play with a Forge Fiend?
Some of that definitely made it in. The Forge Fiend, okay, it's not. It's a sleeper unit, yes, but I'm talking about what are some things that you would change about the Codex to make it playable now. Like if if we had storm shields.
Yeah, I mean.
If you want them to just be another Space Marine book, sure, give them storm shields. But if you want them to retain their flavor and the reason that people like them, give them something different.
Look at 30K as a template. The legions there have all the flavor, individual flavor, but yet on par with each other legion.
Right, but they do that by being different. I mean, there's only a few that actually have the 3+ vulnerable save. Right now, there's Salamanders and Imperial Fist. None of them are Trainer Legions, but the Trainer Legions still have ways that they can deal with them. Like the answer is not giving everybody the same thing. I think the answer is giving people the different tools to compensate for those weaknesses.
A point reduction is huge too. Like Typhus being 200 and some points and Lucius being not free, is essentially a handicap.
Yeah, I mean, so I definitely agree with your point there, Chris. I think that was very well said. Points reduction would be huge. Keep things differently. Storm shields, it seems foolish that they don't have storm shields, but the fact that we don't have grav, totally okay with that. The fact that certain units, no land speeder storm, no scout. Comparable scout unit, that doesn't bother me. I think they have such potential to make chaos cool and fun and unique with the not the cult, the Thousand Suns, Plague Bearers.
That's the cult legions is what they were referred to.
Talking about the big four.
Yeah, the Noise Marines. Like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we saw Noise Marines? The weapons Noise Marines have are really, they're pretty decent. They're cool. They're fun. They bring something new to the game. The reason we don't ever see them is because they're friggin' expensive. They're just cost prohibitive. You're not.
Yeah, once you kit out a unit of 5 Noise Marines with the blasters and the
sonic blasters and all that,
you're just like, well, this is 8,000 points, and I have 10 models on the board.
Absolutely, it's just I've got great.
No exaggerations.
No, exactly. So points reduction would be huge. Some kind of drop pod deployment, even if you did them in the chaosy kind of drop pods. I think that particular chaos thing, it doesn't automatically come in turn 1, which is like
the Charybdis drop.
The assault claw thing.
And I'm counting Forge World and stuff. I'm telling you that I just don't think that chaos has all that it needs, even with the 2 big hardback expansion stuff. I mean, these are awesome books. I mean, but it still has gaps in it. Better Demon Princes. When is it? Demon Princes need to be on par with chapter tactics. Like somehow you build a Demon Prince that either buffs your army out in some deployment subtle way, or that actually is a combat monster that can make it to combat.
And that's what I'm talking about with the flavorful additions to existing stuff. I mean, having a Demon Prince that has an active effect on your army is effective and fluffy, and it's interesting. It's interesting to put it on the table.
I love the Corsair morale model. I think we talked about this, would replicate that with the Chaos Space Marines, to where that a Chaos Space Marine has a 9 leadership, 10 leadership, or whatever, but if he breaks, then his leadership, he rallies on a 5 or a 6. Maybe throw in something else there.
I think it should be even better than that, right? Because the Space Marines, when they rally automatically, then they get to move and act as normal. Right, so it's even better, and they shall know if you're so strong.
It's incredibly powerful.
It's incredibly powerful, and so I think that Chaos Space Marines, if they did have some kind of leadership modifier 9/ whatever, it should be real high. I think all Chaos Space Marines should be lead 10, 10/9, 10/10, something like that. So they are. The
way Games Workshop is leading us down this path is that they don't want these to be 10,000-year-old skilled. Combat hardened Space Marines. They want this to be kind of like rebels, renegades that have come together in war bands to do some chaos, some mayhem.
And that's the part I don't like. I'm just gonna say it right here.
No, I'm not a huge fan either.
Better. I mean, Crimson Slaughter was an interesting notion as one of the newfangled chaos dudes, but the stories that people care about are the stories that have to do with those old legions and those old warriors.
Yeah.
Like and there's just so much more rich.
I don't know that people are necessarily attached to them being 10,000-year-old people. I think they're attached to the legions. So I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, so as somebody who is not, I've never read a single Horus Heresy book. I don't play 30K in any regular kind of way.
You will.
But I think it almost seemed preposterous to me when I first started playing. I was like, where do these Chaos Space Marines come? Like, where do they get new Marines? And somebody like Chris was like, well, there are no new Chaos Marines. They're all 10,000 years old. They're all part of the old legions and stuff. I'm like, that is insane. Insane that 10,000 years later.
But time is relative, my friend. The war.
But every time one of them dies, which, I mean, Space Marines die in spades, right? Like Chaos Space Marines die in spades.
Well, they do now.
Well, they do now, right? As well they should. I mean, read Shield of Baal, right? Like, just Blood Angels just die into the Tyranids. It's a thing.
It is a thing. But I mean, like if you read some of the novels that feature the Chaos Space Marines, like the Night Lords Omnibus by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, he talks about how in actual mortal years, some of them are only like 200, 300, 400, 500 years old, depending on the ebb and flow of the warp, because they spend so much time traveling.
I'm blacking out.
Hey, we talked about Eldar for you, son. You can just sit there and black out and be quiet.
I'm blacking out. Look, I don't want to talk about how old a Space Marine is. I want to talk about how we fix the Chaos Legions. And like, I don't even care how they get there. Maybe your Demon Prince, maybe he gets the ability to where he brings forth these 10,000-year-old killers. But the other Demon Prince or the other Chaos Warlord has a similar warband. And my idea was that they would break and then get several chances to rally. They could always rally, even if it was just one guy, he could rally. And when they hit the board edge, they get to rally again. So that keeps you. That's like a really fake version of A Nation Under No Fear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I don't think that everybody needs to be a 10,000-year-old Space Marine. I like the idea of having like the veterans, the ones that have survived, be few, but have them be hard as all get out, so that when you put them on the table, you point at them and you're like, all right, I've either got to completely avoid that or I've got to deal with that.
Yeah, well, when you get that veteran upgrade, that veteran of the Long War upgrade, then maybe you get the plasma pistol and the artificer armor and a storm shield. And an assault cannon.
And with the storm shields, Paul. Get over it. Get over it. No storm shields. No.
Yeah, see, I mean, you're saying that like it's some sacred cow, and it isn't. It simply isn't. Other armies have better or similar saves, and there's no reason to. You think a Chaos Marine, when he steps over a Terminator, is going to be like, you know what? I'm not picking that up.
I mean,
give him a 3+, but don't call him a Storm Shield. Make it unique. Make it different. Otherwise, everyone's just playing the same Space Marines, just with spiky armor.
Do you think a space? Do you think an Imperial Guardsman who like walks past a dead broadside is like, man, I sure wish that I could pick up and shoot that thing that shoots 7 twin-linked
It's filled with alien goo, and the primer tells you not to hang out with alien goo.
Well, I guess Chaos has a little bit less stringent standards when it comes to pillaging.
Right. But they have no uplifting primer. They have.
Yeah, exactly. There's no commissar behind them.
Weapons either.
Well, all I'm saying is that the legions go to war with other Forge Worlds just to get the fuel cell for the ball predator. That's the kind of stuff that happens, and I'm not making a case for essentially storm shields. I just think there are things that the Chaos Marines need to be that fearsome, because the game is better when Chaos Marines are the bad guy, in my opinion.
I mean, I agree that the game is better when Chaos is a power, when it's a threat, and it's not that right now. And the boogeyman has kind of become definitely Eldar and Tau, right? Like those are the two that are
all day, every day.
All day, every day. Yeah. Concerned about.
I like all power to be equal across as different, sliced up differently across the whole arc there. But I think that when we can identify with like strong, like and there are supposed to be no good guys and bad guys in 40K. People can even make a case that the Imperium is the bad guy or whatever, but I prefer it when Chaos is the boogeyman, the real bad guy, and then he needs to have some teeth. And the teeth is not me filling the board with 160 zombies. Although I personally love to do that, I don't want to lose the option to do that. That's just not. It's not the teeth,
See, I mean, what I imagine is, like, say, a 1,000 Suns army, and you've got Terminators in the old Cataphracti pattern, and then you give them the +1 for the Zine. So now they've got the 3+ save, and then give them something like Sweeping Advance or something.
You just nerded yourself into a Storm Shield. I'm happy.
That's why I said, don't call it a Storm Shield. Just call it something else. Make it more unique. Have you been listening to me, or did you really black out? I'm worried about you. What are you drinking over
That's
there?
fine. I think the Storm Shield is a small little piece of the puzzle for Chaos. To be sure, that wouldn't fix them overnight, but that could definitely be a piece of the puzzle. You'd see more Chaos Terminators.
And they look cool.
I think first and foremost, in my opinion, what fixes Chaos is not additional units or even changing the units in their current iteration. It's making them cheaper. Because they would still have that unique flair, and they would be very chaosy, and everyone would be okay with it. You just have more of it in your list, and that I think would fill the gaps that are inherently in it. Because there are gaps in every army except for Eldar.
If a 20-man Khorne unit in a drop pod costs 250 points or something like that, then.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like, what does a Khorne ring cost right now? Like 21 points for a Khorne Berserker? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's not.
It's like, I mean. 1,000 Suns cost 24 points a model. 24. It's basically 2 regular Marines.
That was cheap in 3rd edition.
That's just cringeworthy now. It's like not great. So
point reduction is always something you can suggest because a 50-point Dreadnought is amazing.
Yeah.
No one will complain about even a 70-point Dreadnought. I don't think.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like, I mean, what Games Workshop just did with the Ironclad Dreadnought, right? And they're like, people are like, whoa, Ironclad Dreadnoughts they got cheaper, and now they have 4 base attacks. Like, that's a unit that I would think about taking, right? Imagine if that was, a regular Dreadnought was 80 points. We'd be seeing a lot more Dreadnoughts, and we would be like, wow, these Dreadnoughts are actually.
Couple things in the comments. Conrad, man, good to see you. I didn't catch you earlier at the first part of the show. Can you make Raptors good in a competitive game? I think you can almost make Raptors good, but it has to be with extreme context and with other things. And Casey's asking can you run the Chaos Space Marine with their Parent Legion rules from 30K? I think the best you can get away with now is just using the 40K models with the 30K rules and not mix them at all. But I think that would be a little bit too much the other way.
Yeah.
A Berserker is 19 points base, 3 points for the Chain Axe.
Yeah, for the Chain Axe. So worth it.
So, yeah, that's where I was getting the 21 points from. Because the Chain Axe is what, AP6, or isn't that right?
AP4, I think.
Yeah, AP4.
Really?
Yep.
Saucy. Just in case you run into some Fire Warriors.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're gonna need that. You're gonna need that if you run into some Fire Warriors. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing it's that kind of rule. That rule sounds good, but then you're just like, well, what are we using it against? Like stuff we're killing anyway. Like, and this is a real. We only got a couple minutes left, but it's a real question. Dude writes in about a list and wants to know if you should put like some flamers on, say, Blood Angels. And this is something that I struggle with a lot. I shouldn't say struggle. I've come to peace with this bit of advice. Like, your army is good at killing things that flamers kill, so you don't really need to take the flamer.
Yeah, I mean, with anything, context is everything, especially in a list-building situation. I'm one of these people who thinks that AP4 is sneakily helpful. It's like, you don't realize how much you use it until
for 3 points a model, you're gonna.
No. You never would do that. Never.
Okay.
But I'm talking about like, no. Right. We're not even. If there's a huge point reduction, like chain axes are 1 point
In 30K, I think you get them for free on Khorne Berserkers. They're not called Berserkers, whatever.
Are you talking about the butchers?
The Angron guys, the World Eater guys.
Yeah, the World Eaters.
Yeah. But so, Ice AP4 is sneaky good. You know, you're shooting through stuff that would otherwise get some kind of saves. These are
when you're fighting orcs and when you're fighting, I guess, the Green Tide. If you have 20 Berserkers, it doesn't stink.
Yep, or guardsmen for that matter, right? Like bolters just chewing through guardsmen.
Going through a conscript squad is, I guess that's a real thing in your area. You know, anytime you can take away, because it's all about stacking up numbers. You know, my rerolls, my 5+ or my 6+ armor save, and then my feel no pain or whatever. If you can just get rid of that and go straight to the feel no pain, you're taking off a lot more models.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
you're right. You're gonna get
heavy flamers on Blood Angels with Necron warriors. You give them just one less 4-up. That's nice when it works.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so, well, cool. Well, guys, we're at the end of the hour. I had a great time talking with y'all. I think I'm kind of primed. How do you guys feel about getting into the podcast recording this week? I think we got some things to talk about.
I mean, I don't even play Chaos, and I'm jazzed about the conversation. So, all you filthy heretics.
I think I'm the only filthy heretic right here. I think.
That's right. That's right.
It's making me though. I did a lot of painting though. I know, Chris, you did too. I'm painting my last 4 Grey Knights for the things I've been working on, and then I'm going to go full into Eldar Adepticon prep mode. Andrew,
what are you painting Grey Knights for?
Oh, just because.
Just because it's not like you to paint stuff that's shitty.
Well, I like the way Grey Knights look, and I wanted to finish up a couple of Terminator squads. And how I'm doing my hobby projects is over there near my painting area. I'm just looking around at what I've got within arm's reach and grabbing whatever, and I happen to have 4 Terminators hanging out.
Nice.
Just
I saw that on Facebook. Your Fellblade looked really cool. No, I'm just doing Adepticon stuff. Just finished assembling everything. Got a base coat it this week, and then we bought Dragonforge bases. So getting geared up.
Still waiting for you to send me that list, man. The Adepticon list you were telling me about.
The Adepticon list or the Warzone list?
No, you sent me the Warzone list already. You were going to send me an Adepticon list to check out.
Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, and we're going to be getting some test games in.
Yeah, I'm not gonna send you what our team list is gonna be because it is gonna be awesome. Paul knows about it just because he hangs out with us socially and can't help but absorb some of the awesome.
Can I join your team so I'm not stuck playing pointy ears?
Hey, I'll take one of their members and you can have Chris. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. I actually would not do that.
Yeah, we'll trade you Curtis for Chris or something like that.
Oh man, I already said I wasn't doing it. But yeah.
We told Curtis all he has to do is stand there and make jokes and drink beer. So
classic anime. Don't underestimate my power.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, guys, y'all have a good rest of y'all's night, and I'll talk to y'all on Wednesday. If anybody's interested in contributing to the conversation we're probably going to have about maybe how to make Chaos better, our wish list for making Chaos better, please hit us up on Facebook. Or I wrote an article on forgenarrative.net. You can leave some comments there as people are starting to do that.
Nova Star, we'll get more 30K.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.